Superman actor Henry Cavill and former Superbike champion Neil Hodgson are attempting one of the most extreme drives on the planet.
This is proper hardcore. Vast, untouched, wild.
They're in northwest China to tackle the hottest road on Earth. Snaking across the Taklamakan Desert, this deadly track is infamous for engine-busting, scorching temperatures.
We cannot repair this. It's terminal.
100-mile-an-hour sandstorms.
Stay together, guys. Stay together. Don't rush.
The world's biggest sand dunes. And an evil desert basin. So hot, nothing survives for long.
We're now up to 54 degrees C.
This hellish 800-kilometer assault course guarantees to take man and machine to breaking point.
I do action films. That's pretend. This is the real deal.
Henry Cavill, star of the Superman movie Man of Steel, and Neil Hodgson, legendary bike racer, have just landed in China. It's their first day, and at 9 a.m. the temperature is already pushing 40 degrees. They're heading to the car they must drive across the Taklamakan Desert, otherwise known as the Desert of Death.
There it is. Hey, look how jacked up it is. It's got adventure written all over it.
That's our tracker, so everyone knows where we are.
Right.
GPS, thermometer, massive thermometer, and our sat phone.
Ooh, look at the beast. It's a 4.2 six-cylinder. This sort of engine is absolutely ideal for the terrain we're going on. This is the start. This is the start of the journey.
Yeah.
Henry may be Superman's Man of Steel, but he and Neil are about to begin a journey that will be sure to test their mettle.
Put your head, put it that way.
They plan to drive 800 kilometers on the world's hottest road, from Hami to Urumqi, officially the furthest city on Earth from the sea. This expedition isn't for the faint-hearted. It will encompass a bewildering variety of desert terrain, from soft, quagmire-like sands, bone-jarring, dried-out riverbeds, slippery shale, and precipitous giant dunes. Over the centuries, countless lives have been lost in the killer 50-degree heat. The first Westerners came here in the late 1800s and perished. Even today, few travellers brave this journey.
Being a motorcycle racer, I'm used to dangers, but this is way out of my comfort zone.
The car rolls, people's lives are in danger. This expedition is genuinely for Men of Steel.
Supporting Neil and Henry's Driven to Extremes mission is a crack team of experts, led by Mac McKenney, a former mastermind behind Sir Ranulph Fiennes' expeditions.
I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is going to be a very difficult expedition. It's not called the Desert of Death for nothing.
Mac's backed up by ex-Royal Marine Commando Aldo Kane, who takes care of security.
When things go wrong in the desert, they go wrong quickly and they go wrong drastically.
And there's former rally raid driver and adventure mechanic Paul Marsh.
Everything takes punishment on this vehicle. We fitted really good quality shock absorbers. We've used all-terrain tyres.
But you've got to have the right oil. If you don't use the right oil, it'll just destroy the engine.
And the lives of the entire team depend on these vehicles.
Meanwhile, in downtown Hami, the presence of Superman and one of the world's most recognisable bike racers is causing quite a stir.
We've got a little bit of an audience here.
Oh, yeah?
I hope I don't stall it when I set off. I'll tell you, I'm sweating already.
It should take Henry and Neil 4 days and nights to travel across the desert. Any longer is certain to take a heavy toll on both man and machine. They must rely on each other to navigate a safe route. But as they start out, they're total strangers.
Where did you shoot Superman?
We shot that in Illinois and Vancouver and Edwards Air Force Base in California.
Where's that in California?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
The desert.
Right.
And it got hot throughout the day, sure, but it wasn't like this.
No. I lived in Southern California for 4 years. I raced in America as well. I did like the American Superbike Championships.
Right.
It's such a cool place.
Neil's been entrusted with blazing the initial trail. While the Superbike champ has achieved virtually everything racing for the iconic Ducati team, he's never tried driving across soft desert sands before.
We're going to get stuck, and yeah, definitely. I think more so when you're driving, though. You just got to start facing the flags.
I'm not,
you know, you're a better
I'm
actor
not-
than me,
I'm
but
not-
I think
I'm not gonna argue
I'm going to outdrive you. You know, I'm just telling you that now. You know, yeah, whatever.
You're better at crashing.
Half an hour later, they're on the outskirts of Hami. Here the city abruptly gives way to harsh desert, stretching endlessly into the distance.
I thought of 3 really good words.
Go on.
Vast, untouched, wild.
I'm feeling intrigued.
Yeah, I
I'm
wanna
still
see
excited.
I want to see how this develops.
Yeah. The camp tonight, I want to see how that works out. I'm intrigued to see what, when we get in the real desert, if this is really the real desert.
Like uni stuff.
Yeah, we'll take the handbrake off as well. They don't seem to like it when they've been on for 3 or 4 miles.
Man, this is going to be great. Mate, we're in the desert.
Oh, it just makes me want to be on a motocross bike. It's hardcore. This is proper hardcore. It's better than I expected, this. Can't see a thing. Yeah.
Not only is air conditioning banned as it uses too much precious fuel, they've had to shut all windows to stop choking dust engulfing them.
So much for us, what we'll do, we'll have our window down and all that lot.
Yeah.
There's no chance we can have our window down.
So easy to get stuck here.
It's so easy to get stuck.
As soon as
Yeah.
you drop the revs too low.
It's stressful.
It is.
Steering to the left slightly.
Go on, baby. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on.
Neil and Henry's fears have come true. One of the world's greatest drivers has already been caught out by the desert.
It feels like you go along and then you just get sucked in, and it feels like someone just grabbed the handbrake, because it almost pulls you down like that, and that's the sand grabbing hold of the wheels. And I'm shocked, actually. I feel quite embarrassed how useless I am.
With the time approaching midday, the thermometer is well past 40 degrees. It's vital they dig the car out quickly and get moving again.
So, where do I need to go? We're going to try going forward.
All right.
Even short exposure to this extreme temperature, doing hard labour can lead to heat exhaustion, or worse still, heat stroke. This is a life-threatening condition where the body's core temperature overheats, causing cells to break down and vital organs to fail. After 30 minutes, former Royal Marine Commando Aldo is worried the boys are overdoing it.
So after all that exertion there, this is it's midday. Even just that half an hour's worth of digging out there, you've probably expelled quite a lot of water, so you really need to, when you get back in the vehicles, start drinking.
Chugging it down.
Yeah.
Just as they get some grip again, the inevitable happens.
This is car 4. I believe we are stuck again. Over.
With rehydration becoming a serious issue, expedition leader Mac has some more bad news.
Just so you know, car 8, top hose is gone. Okay, and it's dumped all its water out of the engine. It's going to be all hands on deck. We've got to go and fix it. Right, boys, let's get this one moving.
A mile away, mechanic Paul Marsh is at the stricken support vehicle.
We've just come through an absolutely horrendous patch of sand. Here, we've actually got a radiator fan, electric fan, and the fan is disintegrated. Punched a hole through the radiator, which you can see over there. That started leaking fluid out, and of course it got to a point where the vehicle engine just heated up until the actual radiator burst. We cannot repair this. It's terminal. Best solution is leave this vehicle right here.
Well, this vehicle won't be going any further. Just 3 hours into their journey, and the desert is proving a formidable opponent. Water is being strictly rationed at 5 litres per person per day to keep loads light. If they fall too far behind schedule, they'll be in real danger of running out. And in this environment, that could be fatal. Over the next few hours, progress continues to be stop-start. Time and again, vehicles flounder in the soft, enveloping sands.
Getting stuck 4 or 5 times in a row, it's draining stuff, that's for sure.
Eventually, the convoy clears the deep sands.
Here we go. Beauty. Oh, yeah.
Hallelujah.
Back on hard terrain, Henry must drive as fast as he dares to try and make camp before nightfall.
This car is a beast. You don't really get to feel quite what it's like sitting in the passenger seat. No.
Finally, they reach camp just as the sun is setting.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's a good feeling now.
Yeah.
That's like proper relief.
Well done, mate.
We've done well.
Perfect.
There we go.
Check that out.
I know, that is a...
Scenery.
Yeah, I know, it's proper view, isn't it?
The desert landscape may be breathtaking, but comfortable it most certainly isn't.
So how does this work then? This is some inflatable, obviously.
Neil and Henry will have to sleep out in the open and hope the local wildlife doesn't pay a visit.
I feel all dizzy. So what do you think? Get a bit of a campfire going then?
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. She's on the way now.
Eh? How did we get here?
You drove here, mate.
Still to come,
That is unbelievable.
Henry and Neil face their worst fear.
He needs help.
Is he conscious?
And the further they drive, the hotter it gets.
It is a matter of life and death.
Superman actor Henry Cavill and superbike champ Neil Hodgson are attempting to cross China's desert of death. So far, they've had to battle quagmire-like sands, a blown radiator from the extreme heat, while a dwindling water supply is a growing concern. It's the morning of day 2 of their 4-day mission.
Morning, everyone. Pretty stunning night last night. Woke up in the middle of the night, and it was all you could see was just a blanket of stars above you. It did get a little chilly at one stage, though, and we get to wake up to this. Got to be some of the luckiest people on the planet right now.
Ahead, Henry and Neil face another challenging 220-kilometre desert leg, culminating with an awe-inspiring spectacle of the largest sand dunes on Earth.
And we're on.
Day 2. It's 30 degrees. What time is it? I've not even watched.
It's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in the morning. It's 30 degrees. We've got 7 hours driving, I think, today. It's going to be a long day.
After all their problems with clogging sand on day 1, the driving is much easier. But in the desert, danger can strike at any time.
So I've got a problem here. I don't know what's going on.
Problem here. What's up, mate?
What's happened?
He needs help.
Henry and Neil are initially unaware that this is a staged exercise.
Is he conscious? No, he's unconscious. Hang on, we've got someone unconscious. He's conscious. He's all right. We've got.
Get a radio. Help! Hurry up!
They're being put to the test to see how they shape up to a desert emergency.
It's all right, mate.
Right. Yeah, he's got a pulse. He's breathing. He's breathing.
Analysing them in this stressful and realistic scenario is Chief Medic Paul Calicott.
It's cold,
Okay,
guys.
guys.
Well, it's got to...
Okay, guys, stop there.
All right, Paul, could you switch that horn off, please? How did you feel when you rolled around the corner and saw that? What?
Well, I've got to say, horrendous.
What really worried me was that I don't know how to use that kit.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, effectively.
Now, Hodgie, you went straight for Mac, and just by doing something as simple as rolling him onto his side, you've saved his life. If you leave somebody like that on their back,
They'll die.
they'll die.
Yeah.
Henry, we know just straight away, without any medical training, this guy's screaming, therefore he's breathing. All right? Always be suspicious as the really quiet casualties. All I can say is the lessons that we learn are, number one, how remote we are. Number two is let's get familiar with this kit.
Well, first of all, I actually feel I'm slightly in shock. It's a lot harder than you think it's going to be doing something like that.
You need to know what to do because it is a panic situation. If it happens for real, the adrenaline goes up and you can't focus, you can't think straight. And so just to have this basic prep is enough to potentially save lives.
It's been a wake-up call for the boys. The next time, it could be for real.
Good way of getting walking up. No, I like that kind of stuff. It's the way to learn. Definitely the way to learn.
They also have a new respect for their emergency kit they must carry at all times.
We've got these grab bags which got a collection of things that would give you a lot longer to survive. The main thing being a drink in there. You've got your camel bag, which we try and keep topped up at all times. We've got flares in there, so if you got lost at night, you've got a flare. These grab bags are essential, really essential. It is a matter of life and death.
After a couple of hours of relatively straightforward driving, they're met by a major obstacle. It's a rutted, dried-out riverbed that demands precise manoeuvring. This looks like a job for
What's that? Hey, I know it's Superman.
Never done this before.
Dragging down a riverbed. I've got to say, this is the sort of thing I do very, very often.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and it's cool though. Of the journey, this is probably the coolest part for just something totally different.
I was saying earlier, it does look like the Wild West around here. It's really cool.
Over the last 2,000 years, this hostile region has claimed countless lives. It's no surprise this place is known as the Fury of God.
It's like we're driving across the moon, I tell you. That is unbelievable.
You got it. Look at this valley.
What a journey. It just keeps getting better.
But there's not much time to enjoy the scenery. There's still 100 kilometres to go before they reach the edge of the desert of death, which means no time for long lunches.
Yeah, what these are military rations, and when we're on the road like this, sometimes you have to be quick, you have to stop, get some energy back in the body.
It's quick, easy, and probably full of all the good stuff.
Meanwhile, mechanic Paul Marsh strikes on a novel way for a more sophisticated bite.
Now, what I want to see is if I can cook this egg.
Merely using the ambient temperature in the car's cab, he rustles up an omelette inside 5 minutes.
You're not going to believe it, but that egg is cooked. I'd eat that. Bit of salt and pepper. And I've cooked an egg off the heat in this cabin here. Oh, that looks delicious. It's good.
After their brief pit stop under the blistering midday sun, it's back on the dusty trail again.
It's 45 degrees inside the cabin here.
I've got my drinking water now. I'm almost convinced if I put a tea bag in it,
Yeah,
I'd have a nice warm
I was
tea.
just thinking it's like drinking bath water.
Yeah.
It's that warm.
It's that warm.
It sort of dries your eyeballs out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hot air.
Four hours of grueling driving later, the boys finally see their Day 2 end destination.
We made it.
The soaring sand dunes on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert.
These are the biggest sand dunes in the world. Second to none.
Forget about Sahara Desert, whatever you think about deserts and sand dunes,
We've got nothing on this.
As they cover the last few kilometres, the temptation is to put the foot down.
I read you, over.
Advise there are hidden gullies with very severe drops. If you're hit at speed, you can potentially roll the car.
Rolling the car will be incredibly dangerous. Without wheels, they'll be stranded. No one will come to save them, as they're now out of helicopter rescue range.
Another drop here, mate. Serious 1, 2.
Finally, they reach their second desert camp.
sand, and more sand.
There's a lot of sand.
And the prospect of another sleepless night on the hard desert floor. But this time, it looks like a slightly softer landing.
It's very hard and crispy on top, and underneath, this is the surprising bit, soft sand. Look, soft sand.
Look, compare the two.
Compare the two.
That's what it's like.
That's a grippy bit on the top. Look at that,
then-
it's just beautiful.
Two different things entirely.
Just lovely though. I can't wait to get to bed tonight and just curl up in it all. I'm going to
That's
start
nice,
exfoliating now, in fact. It's just amazing. Try it, seriously. I feel younger. Look at my skin.
Yeah.
As the sun disappears, the team plan a route for the most dangerous section of their journey, crossing the giant dunes of the Desert of Death.
Really dangerous driving up these dunes.
Yeah. When you turn around and look back, you realise quite how much space is out here and the scale of what these are.
Still to come, the water situation becomes critical,
We will eventually run out of water.
and the Desert of Death bites back.
Guys, do not underestimate this.
It's so dangerous out here. I mean, it's lethal.
Henry Cavill and Neil Hodgson are halfway through their 800-kilometre trek across one of the hottest roads on Earth. It's dawn on day 3.
Morning, everybody. Morning number 3. Got a pretty spectacular sunrise here at the base of the dunes. Here's our Neil, and behind Neil are these monsters.
Today is make or break for their 800-kilometre expedition. They must drive 78 kilometres across the biggest, hottest sand dune desert in the world, to the tiny village oasis of Dykena. Neither Henry or Neil have attempted radical 500-metre-plus dune driving. In this terrain, put a wheel wrong and you can roll the vehicle.
This is what we've come here to do. I will admit, I'm a little nervous, of course.
It's a daunting prospect, but the boys must tackle the mountainous dunes. They're now at the point of no return, as supplies won't last if they turn back. An expedition leader, Mac, has just discovered their situation is more critical than realised.
Just to let you guys know, we've had a count up of the water. We're down to our last 20 litres per car, okay? But obviously we've just got to conserve it.
With the journey being a lot tougher and hotter than imagined, everyone has drunk more than their allocated 5 litres of water each day. And there's a heatwave warning, suggesting the desert could be more punishing than usual.
I cannot believe the punishment this engine's going to get.
Yeah.
Just on this sort of 2 or 3 hour leg of the journey. I mean, it's brutal.
This heat, see how this will be torture on the engine. We're at 2,500 revs most of the time, if not 3,500. It's something we've been warned about, just to keep an eye on the engine temp.
The engine's going to take a lot of punishment, but so are the drivers. As they head once more into the desert furnace, they'll need to be vigilant for early signs of dehydration. These include dizziness, headaches, and loss of concentration. Not ideal when you have to pick your way through dunes with deadly drop-offs, One mistake and it could be their last. After an hour, they take a much-needed break.
How'd it feel? Tell you what, that was a little bit scarier than I thought.
Yeah.
Doing the over them dunes, definitely out of my comfort zone. I think people think because I race motorcycles that you're extra brave or something, which is not the case at all. I'm in my comfort zone when I'm on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm quite a wimp.
Yeah, clearly a yellow belly.
Yeah, of course, without saying.
Coward.
I won't go that far.
As they hit the dune trail again, the temperature in the cab soars past 40 degrees. With the engine having to work extra hard, mechanic Paul has to make a difficult call.
Car 3 to car 4. Can you put your heater on now? I need to dissipate heat away from the engine.
Roger. Well, for the first time, officially, we now have the heating on in the car.
Switching on the car heater sucks heat away from the engine. But while the machine is being protected, man must suffer.
Temperature check, we're now up to 54 degrees C in the cockpit. And the poor driver is actually in direct sunlight as well, so...
Keep an eye on something.
Yeah, seriously, if you're feeling tired or anything, just tell me because this is brutal.
Worse still, they find soft sand again.
Correction, Henry, car 4, back over.
And for good measure, one of the support cars suffers a puncture.
Okay,
It's
guys.
Mac's worst case scenario.
We are seriously in trouble if this keeps happening. We will eventually run out of water, and it won't take too long. With all this stopping and exertion every time you move, it's almost like being at altitude. You know, you're finding it difficult to breathe, not because there's no oxygen, it's just because it's so hot and you can't exert yourself. It's really difficult to be out here.
With the water situation now critical, former Royal Marine Aldo Kane is dispatched to a nearby gorge. It has a stream, but the water's too salty to drink.
When you taste it, the water's off, you can't drink it. So you could get here and there's water all around you and you would die within, a day if you drank that stuff. So what we do is take solar still. It works by evaporation and condensation. You put the bad water in and it evaporates up and then it runs down into a gutter. Jiggle like that. Can you see it? It's almost like it's raining inside, running down. So you could survive with one of these. Perfect. There's no salt whatsoever in that.
The solar still may give them a litre or two of drinkable water. Back at the convoy, Henry and Neil finally managed to free their vehicle. But their midday hard toil has meant they're down to their last drops of water.
50 mil. I don't know how much we've got left now for the rest of the day. We haven't got much.
No, my camelback's empty as well.
Eventually, they catch up with Aldo at the gorge. He's come through big time by producing 5 litres of drinking water from the brackish stream. With speed now of the essence, Neil has taken over the driving duties. Late in the afternoon, they glimpse the village of Dykena in the distance.
Might be a ridge just here, dead ahead of us. Careful.
But as they reach the valley floor, they hit the softest sand yet. Neil's driving skills are tested to the max. He must speed up to 50 miles an hour to prevent another beaching.
Thick, thick, thick.
Okay, big ridges ahead on the left there, be very careful. It's dead ahead, in fact, there's ridges. Well done. Good angle. Yeah. Go between these two tracks. And there's a bit of a drop off just here on half of the right hand side of the car. Well done, mate.
Well, we've made it. We have made it, and I'll tell you what, we almost didn't. That was the last kilometre to here was the deepest sand. I was flat out in full low 4x4, pinned about 4,000 RPM, and the car, I just felt the car.
It just being grabbed by the sand,
just being
pulling
grabbed,
it down.
Like, just stopped floating, so. We've made it to the oasis.
Oh, that was something else. And the dust, the level of dust there. You couldn't, the visibility was zero if you were behind anyone or if the wind changed direction and it blew the dust across from the car.
And literally we couldn't see, so that was pretty sketchy actually.
You've got to, yeah. Well done, mate. Again.
Yeah.
Waiting to greet Henry and Neil is local legend Bikeley.
Nice to meet you.
That's right.
Nice to meet you. Oh, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Woo!
He's known as the living map for his incredible ability to navigate the desert unaided.
Thank you, Shishi. That's fantastic, actually. It's the first cold drink we've had in days.
这个3天了，天就是这个是第一次这个喝饮料喝。
Thank you very much. Thank you. We've heard that you're called the living map. Why is that?
爷爷也当上到了，我爸爸也当上到了，我也当上到，我儿子也当上到。山上长大了，哪个方向走好，哪个方向不好，那样全部知道。那个你看随便这样走的话，我跟你讲，这样随便进去，路那个地方有，我跟他这个地方回来的话，我山也不看，这个方向看哈。
Has he ever got stuck in the desert?
没有。
Never.
不，出不来的
He's my hero. My hero.
Tomorrow, Henry and Neil could do with a living map. Their route takes them down into the Turpan Basin, the hottest place in China. And at 150 meters below sea level, the second lowest place on Earth. It's not somewhere to lose your way. First, though, they must find a suitable spot to camp before it gets dark. It's 3 a.m. Mayhem has broken out in the camp.
Nightmare. I've just like from nowhere, and I mean literally nowhere, within a minute, just like a massive sandstorm's come, and it's just absolutely horrendous.
Immediately, Aldo and Mac's military training kicks in.
Okay, boys, gather round. I need everyone to listen to this very clearly, and they all understand exactly what's going to happen. As you can see, the wind has picked up very dramatically. It could get to such a degree we won't be able to see a hand in front of our face, so we've got to move out of here immediately to make our way back to the village.
It's so dangerous out here. I mean, it's lethal. If anyone gets separated from the group, I mean, you would not have a clue, because you just can't see anything. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it. Sure, it's actually a dangerous situation, but we've got professionals looking after us as well. So as long as we keep together, then we'll be okay.
Before we go anywhere, everyone pick up your day sack and put it on. Do not leave it down. Just get everything you need to survive out here. Make sure you've got it on your back.
I've got my goggles, obviously I've got my headlights on, but I've got to get the Shamir on quickly.
Behind the last wagon.
It's really hard to breathe. It's just the finest sand, and I don't know if you can see how fast it's blowing, but it's scary, really scary.
Let's get everyone in, number off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Okay, Mr. G is 15, Jane is 16.
17, that's man. Okay, we're on to village.
This is incredibly dangerous. If anyone gets separated, their chances of survival are remote.
Behind me, there's going to be there's 12 people left, so there's going to be 6 sets of pairs walking next to each other, almost holding hands, shoulder to shoulder.
Radios on both cars.
This is not a stunt for television. This is the real deal.
Here.
Yeah, but in a bit of shock.
Next people behind Jasper and Tim. Guys, do not underestimate this.
Back, yeah?
Yeah.
Full seat?
Yeah, Rod's on your right. Totally fine. Stay together, guys, stay together.
The first part of their evacuation is complete, with everyone making it to the vehicles. But the most dangerous part, driving out of the storm, is yet to come.
Make
Henry, go.
In the middle of one of the hottest deserts on Earth, Henry Cavill, Neil Hodgson and their support team are fighting a violent sandstorm. Get it wrong in these conditions and the consequences can be fatal.
So we've pulled to a halt and vehicles are taking us in 3s and 4s. So we should be all in vehicles en route to the village very shortly. Okay, +2. Hurry up, one more!
Henry, go. Henry, go.
One more. Okay, straight in. Get another one in. Jake! 1, 2, 3.
Drivers outside.
That's everyone inside the vehicles. Everyone's inside the vehicles. Everyone can move out.
I think we've used pretty much everything we were supposed to have in our grab bags. Couldn't write this.
Half an hour later, everyone makes it safely to their local guide Bikely's house in the nearby village of Dykena.
We are now back at the village. We're moving inside.
Can everyone just stand in a line there, just shoulder to shoulder, just so that we can see everyone's in?
Okay, we're all present.
Okay.
Well done, gentlemen.
Just a quick one, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if anyone else was aware, I was lying awake, but there was a duck devil spun through the top end of where we were camping there. That's why the wind suddenly picked up. If we were spread as far apart as we were the other night and that kicked off, you will not find each other. And you can't underestimate what we just got out of there.
You can see why we bang on about the training and the grab bags. It's not for play, it's not for show, it's for real life stuff.
Okay, round of applause for the drivers.
Yes.
It's now approaching dawn, and in a few hours' time, Henry and Neil face their most strenuous day of the expedition.
What a night. Yeah. You cannot believe. And last night we were climbing these dunes. You see over there, it was all very hilly. Now it looks almost flat. It really does bring it home. Those guys, I genuinely feel, and it sounds a bit cheesy, but we owe our lives to them. Honestly, that's how severe it was. It was crazy.
Despite being exhausted, Henry and Neil faced their longest drive yet. 313 kilometers through China's lowest and hottest terrain, en route to Urumqi, the furthest city in the world from the ocean.
I didn't think we'd be pushing ourselves this hard. And now this is the hard part. It's getting harder. It's getting hotter. Every day we get in that car, it's getting hotter.
It feels barren here. Yeah, this is, I don't know if it's because the sky's dark as well. Yeah, it is. It feels very arid.
Temperature check at the moment is 40 degrees outside. Inside the cab, 42. And altitude, we are at minus 91 meters.
So we are now below the level of the sea. And descending.
And descending.
Over the next 60 kilometers, their altitude continues to drop and the temperature rise. Adding to the stifling conditions are winds that drag in more heat from the surrounding deserts.
To our right, it's definitely what looks like it used to be an inland sea of some sort, or a vast lake.
So it's quite funny, we're looking at a complete and utter dry, flat lake bed.
And it's massive.
Yeah. And for the first time on the whole trip, we've got like quite an overcast sky, which makes this area especially, makes it feel like I'm on the moon again. I've said it a few times on this journey, but you're experiencing something that you've never experienced. It feels really bizarre.
In July 2011, the dried out Ading Lake recorded China's hottest temperature at 50.2 degrees centigrade in the shade. Nothing stirs here, since nothing can survive the scorching hellhole. Remain long in this environment and delirium would set in, followed by certain death. Finally, the boys' altimeter reads minus 154 meters. This is the lowest point in China, but for them, their highest point. Over 3.5 days, they've battled sinking sands, water shortages, precipitous dunes, and a vicious sandstorm. Now they've reached their last major landmark at one of the most bleak, inhospitable, and remote places on Earth.
Made it. We made it. Really enjoyed it, but and sort of feels worth it. I'm glad there is a monument here. Yeah, it's cool. Cool. Great. Well done. Yeah, and you did it.
Henry and Neil have proved man can survive this extreme heat examination. Now it remains to see how the machine coped.
This is going to be incredibly hot. So we've just topped 80 degrees. Wow. So that's warm. That's hotter than I'd expect. And the oil we've got in here is doing its job, that's for sure.
Yeah, sure.
And as you know, a grain of sand will actually, inside your engine, will do a huge amount of damage. I'm going to show you what this coarse sandpaper will do to an apple without any lubricant whatsoever. It's totally destroyed the skin of the apple. There's no lubricant, and that's what sand does to the inside of your engine. So let's take some oil now. Now applying the same amount of pressure, this is doing no damage to the apple.
Yeah.
This film of oil is protecting the skin. That's exactly what happens inside the engine.
Right. Back on the road for the last time, this region of China is not just desert. There are areas of outstanding natural beauty. The limestone gorges of flaming mountains are set alight each day by nothing more than the colour of daylight. They are breathtaking in their beauty. The entire route of this expedition was once followed by Marco Polo back in the 13th century. Little has changed since then, until now. China's fast-track economic boom will soon see this route completely tarmacked over.
Incredible to be here and be the last ones travelling this way, but it's also kind of sad that this wilderness is now going to become a major artery into civilization.
Soon the boys get their first taste of tarmac after 4 days.
So I've been thinking, Henry, when this is all done, how is about me and you? You know, one day maybe...
Well, stop there.
I lost you at me and you. No, seriously. You know, just meeting up for a coffee sometime and just, you know, just hanging out.
You can teach me how to ride a bike.
And that would be cool.
That would be cool.
A few hours later, they finally made it. The city of Urumqi brings to an end their epic 800-kilometre desert endurance test.
I didn't have much in the way of off-road driving experience before I got here, and I've come away with my fear of it, my fear of approaching it, completely gone.
Between me and Henry, you know, there were some reservations when you meet an A-lister Hollywood actor, you know, how is that going to be? I didn't know if I'd actually get along with Henry, but he's a mate.
Neil's fantastic, really, really nice guy, fantastic at driving, got us out of some very sticky situations.
I've crashed motorcycles at well over 150 miles an hour. I'm used to driving to extremes. This was another level altogether.
Trips like this can do nothing but change you. Experiencing extremes, seeing nature at its best, its most beautiful, its most dangerous, is a life-changing experience. Definitely driven to extremes.